In today's video, I'm going to be hitting on some of the basic things that you need to know to create a solid website structure. When you first begin creating your website, if you don't take the time to know the direction that you want to go, you'll probably end up lost and confused and overwhelmed. The most important thing that you need to do when you're first starting your website is ask, what is the goal of this website? And there's really three main goals. The first goal is probably to sell a product. The next goal is to sell a service. And then the third one that I find is that people just want to convey information. So chances are the primary goal of your website will be one of those three: to sell a product, sell a service, or convey information. So the next thing that you'll want to do after you ask yourself, what's the primary goal? What's the main thing I want to do with my website? Is you'll want to make a list of all of the questions about your product, your service, your business, your organization, and then write all the answers to that. Those are called your frequently asked questions. When you make a list of frequently asked questions, what's going to happen is you're going to eventually begin to see what the most important information is that you need to be conveying from your website, what the second most important information is, and then what's kind of not very important. Now, the important things should be front and center, easy to find on your website. So let's jump into this website that I have on my screen here, and let's take a look at what we have going on. So I've got this website and it says secure your website. So this website is all about website security. And I know that because I've taken the most important information that I'm trying to convey and I've put it as a headline front and center on my homepage. So the first thing that people are going to want to know when they come to your website is that they're at the right place. So if they came from Google and let's say they searched for something like how to secure my website, then they come to my page, they see it says secure your website, they know they're in the right place. They're going to give you about 3 seconds before they hit that back button and they're out of there. So whatever headline you put here, whatever images you put here, those need to back up what your website is about. So when you're creating that list of FAQs and you decide, okay, this is the main thing my website is about, you're also going to determine a few other important things that your website has to offer or that you're trying to convey as information. And those things you want to put into some sort of bullet point. Here you can see that I've used icons, and then what I've done is I've gone and put kind of subheadings below each icon, because these are kind of the second most important things that I want to communicate for my website. And studies show that if I write paragraph after paragraph and I put that on my site, that people are less likely to read through it than if I just give them kind of the bullet point version so that it's easy to skim. Here again, you can see that since I've told them now kind of what the main thing is about, it's about site security, and then I told them like the big features that separate me from the competition. Now they're probably wondering, well, how does that all work? So I've provided that answer once again using icons and bullet points. And then down here at the bottom, I've put a paragraph that says, why choose us? So there's a little bit more if they want to read, but you wouldn't need to necessarily include that, of course. Now, if you're conveying a lot of information, there's probably going to be some pages that are less important on your website. Anytime you run into this situation where you have information you want to include, but it's not super important, those are probably the bottom things that you would make on that FAQ list. You may want to consider putting them under a drop-down menu. Now, normally when somebody comes to the website and they have to hover over something to reveal that it's there, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to find. So you should reserve those parts of your website for things that are not as important. The important things should always be front and center. So here you have a navigation menu. And if all these pages are the important pages of my website, then they should all be displayed and easy for somebody to just click and jump right to that spot to get the information that they're looking for. So now that you've decided what your website's about, kind of some of the secondary things that it's about, and you've created a hierarchy of the information you want to convey, it's time to start thinking about where do I want my site visitor to go if they do find they're on the right website. And in the case of selling a product or a service, you're going to want them to probably buy your product or service. So that's pretty straightforward. In the case of information, you're going to want them to direct them to the information that you want. Now, the way that I create most of the funnels or flows to the sites that I build is I put a strong call to action button front and center in the middle of the home page, usually under the headline. And the reason why I do that is because it's very clear that this is the thing that you do next if you like the information that you see. If you're selling a product through e-commerce, you may want to link this button to your store so that they can add it to their cart, complete checkout, and get on with the process. If you're just trying to get a little bit of contact information so you can give, for example, an estimate to somebody or whatever, then you might want to link this button to the contact form like I have here. One of the important things to keep in mind when you're creating this call to action and you're setting up the sales funnel is that although it may be the best thing may be to direct somebody straight to buying your product, but in some instances it might be better to put kind of a barrier between the site visitor and the place they can buy the product where you ask for their contact information. And the reason why I say that is because the chances of somebody buying from you the first time they come to your website is really unlikely. And if they leave your website, the chances of them remembering your web address is also unlikely. But if you can give them something, present them something of value, for example, maybe it's discount codes, or maybe it's a free consultation or a free estimate, or maybe it's a free sample. If you can make some sort of promise like that in exchange for getting them to fill out a form, then you can take the form data and then you can send a follow-up email to that person later, which is great because if they forgot your web address or the name of your company, in a week they'll get an email and it'll be a reminder that you exist, or in 3 days, or whenever you decide. And one of the greatest features I think about WebStarts is that if you do use a contact form, and I'm going to show you this one on my page, I'm just going to double click on it to open up the properties. You can go to form settings and then you can actually assign the data that's submitted on the form to go to your email marketing list, and you can just choose whatever list you've created from that and then update your form. And what that does is when somebody completes this form on my website, it's going to send that data to my email marketing app, and you can enable the email marketing app just by clicking on this app. Now here are the prices and whatever, but once you've upgraded and added that email marketing app to your WebStarts account, you'll see that your email lists are already populated with the email addresses that you gathered from your lead forms, and then you're able to go into the email marketing platform and you can write scheduled follow-up emails. So you can send somebody an email on day 1, day 3, day 5, day 7, whatever you want. And then also you can send a broadcast email to your entire list. So if you're running a sale or you have very limited offer or whatever, you can send an email out to everybody in the list. And that being integrated directly with the form and the website is extremely helpful when it comes to converting more of the leads that you get from your website into customers. Now, if your website is primarily about information, you may also want to consider enabling the blog app. The blog app is nice because instead of having to constantly think about where to prioritize certain articles, you can just create a post and then your site visitor can come read your blog. So let's say I go to the blog and I read it, and they can search through it by date, or they can search by keyword just by clicking on search there. So that doesn't require you to do as much thinking. If you're conveying information, you're really just wanting to get that readership. But in that case, you still might want to use that contact form to get their email address so that you can remind them of where they were reading that great article, or whatever post you've created. So I hope you found that in this video it gives you a little bit of an idea of how to create a basic structure to your website. And of course, if you need help or you have questions at any time, you can contact us at support@webstarts.com, and we'll be happy to help you create that perfect website for your business or organization. Once again, thanks for watching, and don't forget to visit webstarts.com to create your very own free website.